for the third one here, I'll just again start with a new file. Actually, tell you what, I'm going to change my mind. Let me go with a picture here, and most of the demonstrations that I see are with pictures. And so let me just see if I've got something here. Maybe let's see, the landscape barn. It's got a nice kind of rolling hill thing going on here. Let's see how this works out. I'll open that. Okay, and then I'll put some type on here. Let's see, what would we want to put on here? Something, maybe just the word landscape, just because I can't think of anything better. I'll go to the type tool, and you want to be sure to factor your type color in here. So I'm just resetting it for my default. And if I want, I can type X, and then I've got white. You can see white up here, ready to take for type. So I'll just click here, and I'll type in the word landscape. Now I'm going to use all uppercase, and instead of using sans serif type this time, why don't I switch to something with a serif on it? We'll just see how that looks. Okay, and there we go. All right, now remember that's in white. It just indicates in black. Okay, and if you just select that, make sure you're on that layer. Go to your 3D, and again, extrusion works really well on this one, and it's gonna make the type indicate as 3D. One thing I have noticed when I use type is that I can move it, I can rotate it side to side, but to get that same function that I get on the others, when I use this first rotation, I can't get under it unless I type the word above the horizon. I think that's why this horizon line shows here. Anything that you type below is going to stay below unless you sort of artificially lift it. And you remember, there is a way, if you click right on the word, and I'll zoom in so we can see this, you can lift it this way and see under it a bit there. And then if I rotate it just so, I can see under it this way. Okay, so I don't really want that for this particular example, so I'm going to try to back up here and see if I can get it to go back down. I use the Command Z and then the step backward to get it back down here. I think I will turn it a bit this way, and again, sometimes it's not real intuitive. I'm moving away from it and making it turn to the left. May not make a lot of sense to you, and I agree. Okay, I'm going to try to scale it uniformly and make it a little bigger. That can happen from the inside, that inside middle box. You can scale it and make it a little bigger. Okay, remember, you can scale it in one dimension by clicking on the third box, or the third tool down. Here's 1, 2, 3, and you can make it taller. And you can try to do the same thing down here if you want. If you want to make it wider this way. Okay, remember, we're not real keen on scaling type, unless we really have a special need for that. Now you notice it has sunk below the grid. There is a little option here where you can snap that object back to the ground plane, and you'll see it come up. And so if you lift it above it and you wish you could put it back down, you can do the same thing that way too. Now the type, it has very similar controls up here. There is in the properties panel, if I click right there on the word landscape, I can actually change the color of the word if I want. I really kind of like the white, so I think I'll leave it that way. You can change the extrusion depth. Remember, I clicked right here on the word landscape, and you can make it have a deeper extrusion, even going forward instead of back, evidently. Okay. Sometimes I discover things and I surprise myself. Okay. You can also, and I'm going to zoom in on this. It's a little little pixely looking right now, but let me just move this up. There's some options right up here that you'll want to consider. I like the cap choice. The cap will let you choose how you want to texture the front of it. And if you just change this to a higher width, you'll see it take on some kind of like chiseled look here. And you can actually change, I didn't mean to do that, you can change the front contour so it's more of a rounded contour. I know that's kind of hard to see. As you make the type bigger, it's actually it'll actually show that a little bit better. Let me see if I can remember how to zoom out here. Okay. Again, if I'll go back to my mesh, I can maybe make this a little bit bigger so we can see it better. Make the type bigger. Then I'll make it sit on the ground again. I don't know if I've made it bigger really enough to see it. Let me make it real big. Okay, that's probably bigger than I need it, but maybe it'll show you can maybe see the bevel on the front now a little bit better. Okay, that's with Properties, Cap, and you can change the front surface there. You see it changing. You can change the sort of the way it's chiseled. Make it. I like that one where it looks kind of rounded. Okay, so that's pretty good. There are some controls right here too, if you're wondering what all this stuff is for. And you can change it right on the object. If you click there, you can move these little handles, and that'll adjust the bevel as well. And over here is this control. And you can see it kind of extruding the bevel out. Okay. Works much better on my office machine than it did in class, as you can see. Okay, I'm going to deselect. You can kind of see what I've got there. Now remember, this is a rough draft. If you want to render it, expect some long rendering time. And I think I'm going to shrink it back down just a bit. Remember, to move it, you have to use the tools here in the middle. You have to click right in the middle, then click right on the tool. You can slide it that way. It'll stay in register with the perspective that you've got there. Okay, that's type. Let me just. There is maybe time for us to do one little rendering here. Way to kind of double check your rendering without having to take so much time is just marquee an area. Make sure you're on the right layer, and then render just that area. And if you want to watch here, you'll see it puts up a little grid, and you can see it maybe bringing it into sharpness. And it takes a little while, and a little while longer, and a little while longer, but maybe you can already see how that's starting to look smoother, like a finished deal. When the wheel quits turning and when the blue grid disappears, you know that the image is fully rendered. Now, in this case, it'll only be rendered in that one spot. If you realize, yeah, that's going the way I want, you can come back over here and you can click, and it'll stop the rendering, so that you can maybe, I think it will. Looks like it's not. Let's see if I can deselect. Yeah, I'll deselect. There we go. Now you can kind of see it's partly rendered. And then you say, yeah, that looks great. Just marquee, if you marquee around the area that needs to be rendered, and then let it go. Like I said, it'll take a while. But if you want the really smooth looking, beautiful type with the wonderful bevel on the front, you really have to render it. Now, if that's not terribly important to you, and you want to just stop right there, or you feel like you don't have time, that's okay too. It just doesn't work well in a classroom situation to spend 45 minutes letting something render when you really have it's such a limited amount of time to do your work. So if you get a decent looking type 3D, you've done the job. You've done what you need for the class. Okay, those are the three: image, shape, and type. I did notice that I accidentally titled the first movie Shape as well, so don't be surprised if it comes up that way. The first one was image, the second one was shape, and the third one was type.